Hi guys, it's Joey, and this will be the third time I've started this video. We are having all kinds of Mercury retrograde today. All kinds. So today's video is going to be a quick catch-up video in the beginning, and then we're going to talk about and reveal the Oracle of Oddities, which I have been hankering after a good long while. I had to purchase the second edition because unfortunately I missed the first edition because it was a limited printing and I missed it, and I was sad about it, and I'm still sad about it, but regardless, we have little fox mitts on the second edition, and we're going to catch up a little bit first. So I was going to make more videos this week, and it's kind of been one of those weeks where it's been all over the place because last weekend was the bank holiday, so Monday was the bank holiday, so there was just no way to record or do very much of anything while the house is, you know, occupied with people other than moi. And that put everything on the back burner. That means I've been catching up this week, and we've gotten to Friday and I haven't videoed anything. We have had a couple of blog posts, and I think it was 2 blog posts this week. We had some poetry this week, which was Witch in the Mist. And we talked on the blog about some quite deep issues which kind of come from the fear journey that we've been having as part and parcel of the Shadow Ogham series. And I'm going to take a friend's suggestion and put a sort of contents page for the Shadow Ogham Silver Birch, because me being me, I was like, oh well, this is Virgo insight for anyone who's not a Virgo. They're like, oh, it'll be nice and tidy and organised, which I'm not normally. I'm more of a chaos bunny. And I will do it for a month, and I will work with Silver Birch for a month in the Shadow Ogham energy, which I want to present to the world. And it's my original idea, and it's not out there, and it's something that I want to be like, I want to talk about this. And I'll present what I want to do, which is the shadow side of Ogham in a spiritual context. And I'll go through the work, and I'll present it. And it'll be a month, and we can have a meditation, and it'll be, you know, we can do one a month. Boy, no. So the Silver Birch thing may well last a good 6 months at this rate. It's been going into the underworld, using Silver Birch as a bridge. Well, I say a bridge, it's more like a ladder down into the underworld. And so all of these fear-based blog posts are actually very much about Silver Birch, and the underworld and travelling, and ancestors is something that has now made an appearance every time in the coffee divinations, which are ongoing. I have just posted the latest one today to the Instagram page, which automatically shares on Facebook and Tumblr, I believe. All my links are down below if you want to check those images out. And I took a snap of it thinking it kind of looks like something, but I don't think there's too much going on in this one, but I'm not sure, so we'll take a picture. Boy, was I wrong. There is so much imagery in this latest one as well. It's very shapeshifty again with these coffee divinations, and there are clear female ancestors. And I had a tarot reading with the gorgeous Miss Arwen Lynch yesterday evening, and one of my ancestors boycotted the reading, basically. So we were talking about things that I wanted to talk about, looking at areas, and she was just popping up and cracking up and laying down the law, and it was interesting. So upcoming is going to be a blog post once I've done the work, because there's going to be some work that I'm going to be doing with ancestors over the next, I'm going to say week. It's probably going to be more than that, but it'll probably be an ongoing process. But I am going to blog about it, and hopefully me and a friend are going to be chatting about it on her channel. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Lady, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. If I Virgo dancer, do it. You're gonna do it because we want to talk about it. Da 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 da. You got a theme song. It was the Oracle of Oddities, so I'm just, you know, promoting a sense of oddity, aka being myself. So hopefully by this time next week we'll have some really different analyses, discussions, debates, conversations, I don't know where we've gone French, about ancestors and from a different perspective, because I think a lot of the ancestry work that gets presented is, here's an ancestry altar. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's interesting. It's always interesting to see people's altars. I love it. I love a little bit of a, I love a bit of a touchy-feely. That came out wrong. But this is what happens when you don't make a video for a week. All your etiquette goes out the window and everything comes across as just dirty. We were actually talking today about how dirty and words like beneath are like derogatory, and so there's this interesting spiritual dynamic of why do the primal carnal energies get put down in like human consciousness. This is a conversation we were having earlier, you know, light stuff. Me and Chris earlier, we were having this conversation over coffee, aka my coffee, that we were like, oh my god, do you see that? I see it. Yes. And we flip and reverse it and talk about my coffee for 5 hours. It's more interesting than it sounds, I hope. Otherwise I'm taking up way too much of her time if she's not interested. But I think we're okay. I think we're okay. Anyway, so if you want to see the coffee divination, you can see it. If you want to leave your thoughts about what you see in the coffee divination, that's cool. There are definitely a lot of naked ladies in this new one. And it kind of has like that Celtic warrior woman naked feel. There's definitely some guys in there as well. Maybe not so naked. I don't know. There's just, I see a lot of boobs in this one. A lot of naked breasts and that sort of thing in this coffee divination. It was very much about raw ancestral female power in this latest one. Right, so hopefully you've got all that good stuff to come up to. My reading with Arwen, by the way, was amazing. If you haven't had a reading with Arwen, I highly recommend it. She was picking up intuitively on all these things, describing things which were to do with my ancestors, which she sort of gave me some things to work with, and then the coffee kind of reiterated them to the point where I was like, oh, yeah, and there's the, oh, and there's that message again, and okay. So it's given me a lot to chew on. So talking about, well, tarot reading, but this is oracle reading. So this is an oracle deck, which is Oracle of Oddities by Claire Goodchild. Now, okay, I'm going to be overwhelmingly positive about this deck because I do love it. Now, I have opened it already and had a look yesterday because I was going to record this video yesterday. It did not happen. It did not happen at all. But I did want to have a look at them. Plus, it came in like this little box, this thin cardboard little, and I was really terrified of opening it on camera because 9 times out of 10 with a little box like this, I'll manage to rip it, and even when I'm being careful, because I'm like the clumsiest human alive. And then the cards themselves were in cellophane wrap, which is always a little bit of a nuisance on camera. So I ordered it last week when I was having the mother of all bad days. I had a couple of bad days. I was not in a good place. I was very, very, very stressed out. I was not in a good place the one day last week. And I was like, you know what? F it. I'm going to order something that I've wanted forever. I want the Oracle of Oddities. I'm going to have it. And I ordered it from America. It wasn't from her site, oddly enough. It was from a different tarot site that I can't remember. Her website is www.blackandthemoon.com. And I can't remember which website I ordered it off, which is bad. But it came yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. So it came from America over the Easter bank holiday and arrived Thursday. So I must have ordered it Thursday last week. So it was here in basically less than a week of shipping time, because here Friday was off, Saturday was on, and then Monday was off. So those 2 days were off in terms of post and all the rest of it. So it came super quick from America. It was expensive, fairly expensive. Some of that, of course, is shipping as well from America, which was in the £15 mark, which is about average from America to England and vice versa. maybe a little on the expensive side because in the size, but it came really super quick and I can't complain about that. Now the box is very flimsy, there's no booklet. No booklet doesn't bother me, it might bother some people, I don't know. But the box artwork is absolutely freaking beautiful. Look at this. Look at this intricate mausoleum, dark goddess goodness going on here. Now I already had seen the cards and I already know that I freaking adore them. I wish this had been on the back of the cards. I kind of have this love-hate thing with the back of the cards. I'm undecided. So the back of the cards look like this. They basically look like one of those old leather-bound books that you used to get in libraries, or I've said to Chris, like my grandma used to have fairy tale books that looked like this, and then they had like gold embossed on. So I kind of like it for that, but I kind of wish it had this, or just like a bit of this on the back, because this is beautiful. And I'm really worried about this box because it's not very sturdy, and I don't want to lose this little boxy artwork, so I'm being super careful. So the only real gripe that I have though, the only real gripe that I have with these, because otherwise I freaking adore these cards so much, but what I do have a problem with is how thin they are. They are really, really thin. Like, you're gonna have to be careful not to damage them. Like, if you're a hard shuffler, you could quite easily tear the corners of these. Like, they feel thin. I was surprised how thin. Like, you're not careful, you're gonna bend them and crease them, and that was a little bit, that made me a little bit sad, because they're not the cheapest cards. But that being said, I freaking adore these cards. These cards are somewhat. They are part of my being now. That's my overly dramatic way of saying I really freaking adore these cards. And you'll see why in a minute. So we've covered everything else, right? Any other details? So I'll just get to it. So the really gorgeous thing about these cards is they are a sort of almost a shell shaded anatomical decomposition of mostly human, but there are some animal bones, skeletal makeup. Some of it includes muscles and things, and flowers and insects in some cases, I believe. But the really gorgeous thing is this: the anatomical parts are all in like this this shell shaded black and white and grey gorgeousness. And it's a lot of it is meant to be almost like anatomically correct diagrams that you might see in a science book, mixed with this beautiful lush foliage art. So this card is beauty. You could almost argue for a Beauty and the Beast element to the card, which is interesting. Or, ooh, hey Jareth, hi. Or depending on how you feel about it, you like beauty's all in the mind. And I love this for having the skull, because underneath our faces we all have a skull, and there's like a personal journey there, because for me in particular, because initially I found skulls kind of intimidating, which kind of has like a shadow element of beauty and intimidation there as well. But we all have it, and like the teeth have fallen out. Okay, I'm going to share something with you guys. This is in one of the things that I'm writing long term, and this is a quote by me, and all rights reserved, because anyone takes this and I will hunt you down. And the quote is, "What is beauty? Something that rots." So then we have empathy. I'm not going to go into that much detail for all of the cards, or we will be here a while, by the way. So this is empathy, which has rib cages, and I believe they're peonies. They look like peonies. those over there look like roses, so it could be peonies and roses. On a human rib cage. And the really nice thing about this is then there's a counter card of apathy. And I'll hold them up side by side so you can see that the rib cages are kind of like the reverse of one another, and these flowers are black. They're not dying, they're just black, which is really wonderful. They are literally the same image but in black, and it shows how apathy can bloom. Just, it's not like the death of something, it can be blossoming within the chest, within the heart space, within the cavities of oneself, and I thought that was really, really clever. By the way, I've decided that I'm an Oracle card collector now, officially. I've given up and just been like, yeah, I freaking adore Oracle cards, whereas tarot cards I stick to 2 decks and I really don't mess about with that. Oracle is freedom, baby. So this one is separation and kind of has your Siamese twin sharing of an anatomical positioning here, and then you have the heart all in colour right in the centre, and like the scissors up top, so you have a division and heart and that sort of thing. Eternity. Eternity. Oh. Have you seen this card? Eternity. You have poppies blossoming from skulls, and it is a butterfly up the top. Red tail butterfly. And I'm not going to go through all the meanings because I could literally spend a whole video talking about that card right now. And my brain's like, this. So for me, I don't need meanings because the meanings are popping off the cards. Look at this card. Security. Baby in the womb, upside down, birth, and you kind of have like the 4-fold plants which make a very womb-like shape down the bottom there, and there's the security, and it brings to mind the story, and Chris shared it with me, and it's talking about the 2 babies in the womb who are like, do you think there's life after birth, and that kind of analysis about life after death from that story. Then we have Gluttony, which is a really interesting card because Gluttony has like the anatomical man with his stomach showing. Now, he's kind of like the Adonis of anatomical men. There ain't no gluttony going on, and the gluttony inside his belly is all fruit. So there's a really weirdness to this card. It's kind of like there's an absence of gluttony in this card. I mean, is gluttony in the mind in this card? What's going on? Now this card is very, very strong. This is toxic. And this, it has kind of like tarred lungs. And the lungs are attached to a metal cylinder, so they're almost being kept alive by their unholy union to the plants going up and down. So it's kind of like a removing of nature and embracing of kind of things that are harmful. So anger is a super freaky card. So it's kind of, this is anger, and anger is kind of like a skull that's been split down the front and kind of like lobotomized, which is fantastic as an analysis of anger. And up here you kind of have a Cthulhu squiddy mess in the mind of what anger does to the mind. Cutting one's nose off to spite one's face perhaps, and snakes coming out of the mouth, which kind of has a kind of a coven from American Horror Story feel now, but modern reference. So death is absolutely right up my alley. There is a crow on the death card. There is pushing daisies on the skull. The skull has like one light eye, one dark eye, one shadow, like one hole. The thorns you can see through the eye here. So pretty. Yeah, again, another card we can talk about. I love union. Right, so I have a top. Well, it's a dress technically, which is Le Petit Mort, and it has 2 skeletons in coitus. I used all posh words there to hide the fact we're being dirty as fuck. Dirty. But that reminds me of this. But this is far more romantic than my top. This has the union of 2 lovers, And the wonderful thing about the two lovers here is that they're skeletal. So you have no way of knowing whom the two lovers are. Love, ladies and gentlemen, is blind. You don't know if it's two men, you don't know if it's two women, you don't know if it's a guy and a girl, you have no idea of the colour of their skin. The perfectness of this embrace is incredible. And then all the flowers are up their spines there, and then you have when doves cry, do 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 do, up the top there. Right, power. So initially I thought this was a heart, but I'm pretty sure now that in the centre that's actually a skull from underneath. I'm pretty sure, like the base of a skull. Because yeah, it must be, because then this is where the spinal cord would be attached, because it doesn't look like a heart to me. It looks a lot more like a skull. And then you have, and the hands here, as you can see, are sinew. There is an amount of muscle on them, and then the beautiful blue flowers there, purple flowers there. Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. Imagination. So we have a fully shell shaded skull down here, and then aspects of imagination which should appeal to the goth in all of us. It's just beautiful. So I love knowledge. Knowledge reminds me of the Divinity reaching, the reaching arm. And here you have like the anatomical arm with irises growing off him, and he's holding the world. And it's, interestingly enough, Europe is right there. Okay. Then we have explore. Again, a sinew, and you can see the muscles, and that kind of speaks of movement with some growth on there. Observe is gorgeous. Look at that, with the sunflowers and the butterflies and the outstretching of the neck, and because it's anatomical, it's all very much enhanced. It's all the movement, the stretching of the neck is very much enhanced here. And then we have, listen, we have the ear. I'm not sure what these little flowers are. I'd have to look them up, because initially they look like ivy, but they're not. With the little white flowers out there. Then we have transformation, and I love transformation. Transformation has the 3 dragonflies. We have the guy transforming into a tree out of one arm, and then he's half skeletal and half muscle and sinew. So there's a whole load of transformation going on in this card. Dragonflies are very in keeping with that theme. This is actually a really wonderful card given what I've been talking about recently, which is the interconnectedness of all life forms and the lack of separation between man and nature. Divinity is interesting. Divinity is a interesting card. You've got kind of like a bat eye and like a finger pointing at it, and around the wrist is a blue rose. Yeah. It's a very difficult one in terms of what this means in terms of divinity. You can see the reflection of divinity within the self here very much, and the kind of the pointing, the kind of the like searching for and identification and looking for and looking into. But there you go. We'll move on. Friendship is sweet. And a friendship again is just 2 young people holding hands, and because of the skeletal nature of the card, you again, it's genderless, it's colourless, and it's kind of really nice. Now that looks very much like a foxgloves, which kind of has like a fayness to it to me, and then it's kind of budding between them, and they kind of have their own within them. So that's really nice. Like the holding of the hands has blossomed forth something fresh and new. Life is gorgeous. Life is so beautiful. So life is the pelvis bone and the spine or column, beginning of it, blossoming forth. it's very, it's almost kind of carnal in a way, but in like a more delicate, beautiful way, like life blossoming forth, the connection to the spinal column and the pelvis, and all that good stuff. So God and Goddess, I think, are possibly the only critters in the deck, which I kind of love. I kind of love that they went this way. So this is God. Now, I'm not sure what the animals are supposed to be. The horns back like that might be ram, but then the bones is very serpentine, and I wonder whether it's meant to look draconic, like a dragon, rather than an actual critter that exists. I'm not sure. But the skull to me looks very ram sheep-like. But there you go. And so this is God. And then Goddess is kind of like so if you, like, they make a pair, you see? Almost make like a heart. I've just dropped the rest of those cards. Wonderful. Again, she has that serpentine feel, and they look very much like dog roses. I'm not sure if the skull is the dog or a wolf. I'm not sure which skull it would be. It looks more canine though, for certain. But again, it could be supposed to be like a meshing of anatomical critters. Okay, so these are probably out of order now, but hey, they're oracle cards, so that doesn't really matter. Nexus is... Look at this. This is roots in lungs with bees. They look like bees. So this card is speaking to me on levels. And then, of course, here you have like buds and blossoms at the end of the roots, or the stems, depending on how you look at it. I thought there were spiders in there now, but I think they're just supposed to be nodules on the actual... So there's a whole breathing, a whole nexus, a whole almost placenta from this angle. This ties into my coffee divination on levels, So then we have Revelation. Revelation is a very odd card. You have a skull with skull hydra coming out the top of the skull, and then a bat up the top. So this kind of has a hydra feel to me. You know, like from one head comes many, like from the mythology rather than from S.H.I.E.L.D., although I guess Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Marvel, but from the mythology, it's more like that kind of hydra, only kind of like a human hydra. There's kind of like a drinking from the skull of your enemy feel to this card as well, which I guess is revelatory about me. There's maybe some Viking in me, who knows, and then bat up the top. Night creature, nocturnal, seeing through the dark, seeing with our other senses. Reward is another very bizarre card. So it doesn't look it on the surface too bizarre, but when you get close to these plants are spinal columns with bones on, made to look like plants, and they kind of look a little bit like they're talking to one another. I'm gonna be honest. And the fact that this card is called Reward, it's really interesting, with kind of like the full skeletal figure in the middle there. Okay. It's bizarre that I like this card so much, given that this card is pain, but this card speaks to me. So I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be the open ventricle of a heart, although I'm pretty sure that's what it is down the bottom. And you've got a bleeding rose and a blade into it, and also a serpent around the blade there, and then two roses very prominently. But from a little bit of a distance, oh, the snake also becomes the sword here. You see how the snake is black, and then this is very faded off here. He actually becomes the sword. So there's a serpentine nature of betrayal here, but from a distance it also to me looks very much like a musical instrument. and seeing as a lot of people express pain through music, I thought that worked really well, because initially I saw like a musical instrument, and then only when I looked closer did I realise it was like a heart splayed open. It's very, very violent when you actually look at the image and think about it. It has that kind of, again, Vikings spread eagle feel to it. So opposition, we're almost at the end. Opposition, two anatomical hands apart from one another, separated by flowers, and they're actually a reflection of one another, which is telling about opposition. We have lust, which is an anatomical female, female. Lots of flowers there. That's awesome that she's gone with a female card for lust. For all us ladies out there, we know that the demonization of feminine lust is a thing. It's a very real thing, and overcoming it is one of those social battles. So seeing that in there is wonderful. And last but certainly not least is support, again with the spine, and then beautiful, beautiful roses coming off there and being almost supported by the spinal column. So yeah. So that's all of the cards, and there's quite a lot of them. I kind of wish I got my hands on the first ones because it's gorgeous. If she makes a third one, I will be right on it. Right on it. Like, I was gonna, all my analogies are dirty, so I will refrain from using an analogy. But we're going to make that a positive word, because as we were talking about earlier, it shouldn't be a negative word. It's an underworld word from the flux, from the dirt. It's a good thing. But yeah, but if she makes a third one of these, I absolutely freaking adore it. The cardstock is thinner, which is my only real complaint about it. I can kind of learn to love this backing for the simplicity, versus perhaps the more surreal nature of the art on the front. I can kind of dig that. I think it's only just because I loved this image so much that I was kind of hoping for more of this image, but maybe it would have been too busy. Maybe, who knows. But these cards are well worth it. These cards are bellissimo. I love them. I love them a lot. I'm officially an Oracle addict. Send help, or at least Oracle decks, to this address. And that's it for this video. I'm going to try and do a bookcase. This is me showing you the bookcase video in which I show a few of the books. Now I have viable bookcases, because there's more bookcases but they're not full of books that are mine. I have 4 viable bookcases that are mine, and have things that people may be interested in this channel. Like the other bookcases have got like gaming manuals, as in gaming coding manuals, not as in interesting gaming stuff, as in code, which is not going to be interesting to most of you. It's not very interesting to me. It's nothing to do with me. It's not mine. So I am going to try and get that recorded. I might try and get that recorded tomorrow, even though it's a Saturday, because we are super behind. And I really would like to talk about ancestry, and I may record a video for the products that I've just created, which is a Loki based set, which has been a trip, to say the least. And so that's going to be it though for this video in particular, with the Oracle of Oddities, which definitely deserves a place in the home of anybody who's even slightly odd. Slightly might be an understatement, but anyone who has kind of like a surreal feel, loves a surreal feel, loves an artistry like that, who loves something a little bit gothic-y mixed with something a little bit colour, like right up my alley. I love it. That's the image for this video, me going and that's it. So I hope you have an amazing weekend, and many blessings.